Before we jump into today's topic, a quick disclaimer. The stories and data we share come from the states that we practice in and the experiences that we personally had, which can differ greatly across our country and certainly the globe. This is not a professional advice show. So let's get comfy and talk about death.
Hello and welcome to Mort Mike.
A down-to-earth discussion on death and dying.
I'm Brandy.
I'm Sierra.
And I'm Red, and we're your myth-busting fable foilers on today's episode.
Boo, that sounds boring.
Oh my god.
No, boring! I was like, Mythbusters. I was like, who's wearing the mustache today?
I like a good
I want to be
Who's got
Jamie
the paperboy
Heineman.
hat?
All right, I'll hear you out.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So generous. Oh my god, guys. Have you heard 9 out of 10 doctors recommend putting yogurt up your butt for healthier gut flora and fauna? It is all the rage right now.
Is that the same thing as like where they're sunning their holes?
No, butthole sunning.
I went to coffee enemas, so we're on the same wavelength,
Oh,
I think.
no. I think it's just good if you put anything up your butt.
You gotta boof your shot, your first shot of the night.
Boof your shot. Oh my god.
This is not life advice. This is death advice.
This is death advice. Well,
There you
it
go.
fits
What
the
else are you
podcast.
using it for? You know, nature's pocket.
Nature's pocket. Well, it should come as no surprise in a landscape of fake news, this and that, and clickbait, this and that death and everything adjacent has spurred on some morbid musings over the years. And this does go beyond our modern era. Some death-related myths have circulated for decades and crop back up after enough time and that enough people who have remembered them pass on. So today, we've come together to strike down some of these common misconceptions for our listeners so you, too, can say, actually, in front of your friends, disseminating false facts, and show them who really graduated top of their class from Chronically Online University with a Redditing major and a trolling minor.
I definitely had a trolling major.
I was like,
And,
damn,
like,
I feel called out.
It's so good.
Fuck.
This shit just got personal.
I'm like,
brain
shit.
mush major.
I used Reddit for these stories.
When you listen to our podcast, you have to put on the, the Subway Surfers. So that way it's keeping you, like, constantly, engaged.
Honestly, those work.
They really
Dude,
do.
They really
do.
were.
When they started popping that stuff up on TikTok, I was like, no way, this is made
Get
for
me.
me.
Yeah.
They have a generator where you upload your notes into it if you're, like, in school and stuff. And it'll put it into, like, an audio clip so you can, like, listen to what you've, like, written as your notes and watch Subway Surfers at the same time.
Oh my god.
I know, I love it. I was like, man, that's what I have.
Now that's accessibility, if I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, man.
So I thought that the easiest place to kick this episode off with, I would say, on the whole, no pun intended, that this is like myth I've heard the most from people that we can talk it over, and it's that everyone shits themselves when they die.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh my god, we really did start this, like, episode off on the right hole, in the right note. We were already talking about, nature's pockets.
So, Brandy, I want to hear you weigh in on this one.
I mean, a lot of people do, but do they shit right when they die? Not the majority.
I agree.
It's usually later when they
Later.
shit themselves.
Well, and that's if they shit. Like, it
depends on the person, depends on how they died. It's one of those things. It just depends.
It really does.
Well, it sounds like they need depends.
Hey, yo!
There's a lot of poo in this episode.
No, that's super true. Because, like, if you don't have to shit before you die, like, the poop's not ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, you would have to be moved around so much for it to, like, worm its way out. I will say, like, in part of our process and in the OR, we have to put people onto their face so we can access back skin. So, like, that can push some things into motion. Oh my gosh, one of my coworkers got shit on the other day.
No.
Yeah, they flipped the donor over and it rocketed a turd at her.
No!
It was absolutely real. She had to go change.
Well,
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. One time that happened, but it was diarrhea, and it was our pregnant coworker, and she took it like a champ. It was, yeah, so yeah, those, I mean, if people die like in the hospital, they weren't eating really. They had mostly a liquid diet.
what the fuck?
Those
Super
people
fun.
tend to. Or I have this one donor. I'll never forget him. He came in, I don't know, like 80, 90 years old, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
And he was not being very well taken care of. And it was like one of those moments
Oh,
where
that's sad.
I pulled this diaper off of this old man, and he was just caked in shit.
Dude.
And like, we have to make everything very, very clean for our job. And so my job is to get rid of all of that. And it was horrible. I can still
You were on poop patrol that day.
Oh, sponge bath for Grandpa.
it's always me. It's always me because I was always on a team with somebody who couldn't take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So-
rough, buddy.
There's always the designated butt tampon person.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't like taking him out because we used to have to take him out. Now we can just leave him.
I'm sorry, can you back the fuck up? What do you mean tampon?
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
So at
Well.
funerals, they have the AV plug, which is like that plastic thing that I have on display there. They have the AV plug, which is like the anal vaginal plug. It corks them, basically. But in the OR, we don't have that, which is crap. I think we should definitely like petition to get one. But they have the butt tampons, which is literally what it sounds like. It's just like about this long, like 3 inches in length. Just a cotton little tampon that you gotta jam in their ass because there's not an applicator, which is like why it gets really personal.
Crazy.
When it comes to pooping yourself post-death, it's not normally immediately in front of your family as they watch the life leave your body.
Right.
It's normally when somebody
It's
decides
with
to
us.
flip you over to put the butt tampon in,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So I don't have to worry about embarrassing myself.
Right, it's being jostled, like in the transport and like
No.
moving people around that can start it. Unless you are like actively about to poop, then it's not
That's
something you
me.
necessarily
I have
to worry
IBS.
about.
I'm always actively about to poop.
Or like if you like
Well,
are
that could be you.
that could be you.
It might be
It
me.
would be you.
It
Yeah.
would be
So
me.
any cute girls with tummy problems, like you're
Yeah.
no.
Take
All
a
hot girls.
Lactaid before you die.
Yeah, there you go.
Hot girls have IBS. That's a real thing. Probably.
Take a Lactaid and a Tums and you'll be fine. You'll probably shit yourself in front of the professionals, so don't worry about it.
I think like to kind of like help people like as they're actively about to take their last breath, we should just shove them full of lactate and like Tums and stuff like that, and like maybe like a little like a going away gift, you know, just to make life easier for them when they get flipped over and sharpie.
I'd love to see that autopsy.
You know,
You just open up the stomach and they're like, what in the...
why is there a whole case of Tums in here?
Bottle and everything.
We care about our we care about our death care professionals here. All right. Yeah.
Exactly. It would
I'm
be
adding that to
fragrant,
my will.
that's for sure.
That is absolutely fucking true.
God, I didn't even think about the smells.
Oh, the
Oh
smells.
God, don't even. You don't want to know.
It's more than most people can
Do you
bear.
think when people are like literally about to die that they smell different?
Yes,
I think that's a real
Yes.
thing.
that is very
You
true.
can like totally tell that.
It is very true.
I might
Well,
be crazy.
No, I was just gonna say, I swear that I can smell diabetic blood. Like
Yes.
today at work, this guy, I was like, this guy's got to be diabetic. He smells so diabetic.
No, it's like it's so fucking true. We had a donor that all of us walked into the like the back, and we could smell it from down the hall. And it's like, oh my God, this is a horrible smell. His serology came back Hep B, and I'm like, I fucking knew it. And then that one was not a false positive. That one he had to have it because he smelled
That is
like
so
he
Yeah.
should.
weird. I never thought about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Alcoholics too.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
100%. As an alcoholic, I do smell. That's fine. It's okay.
That
They
shit
smell sweet
permeates.
though.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's
you're
sweetness.
welcome then.
What's like a
Sickly
sweet?
sweetness.
Oh, never
yeah.
mind. Damn it.
Yeah.
Another one.
So
Another one.
your hair and nails keep growing after you die. Another common myth.
I thought this was real.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you for real?
Dude, I'm stupid. I don't know. It felt right because like, why not? You know?
Do you know like where it comes from?
Well, I guess
Like,
when
did
you're
you-
like tissue and shit like comes back away from your nail beds and skin, it looks like your nails are longer.
Yeah,
But-
the dehydration.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did it. Yeah.
See?
I just figured that out. But I dead ass kind of thought that was a thing because I was like, yeah, makes sense. You see those fucking mummies, bro? Not manicured.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, and they have them long, fucking luscious
Yeah.
nails, but it's because they have less.
Or like the
skin.
shrunken heads. Like,
yeah.
they have like really long hair too.
That's true. That's super true. Yeah, it's just. I think I heard this is probably the first myth I heard when I was a kid about death. Was specifically this one.
I think, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
actually.
probably. Well, also related to death is like holding your breath when you go past a cemetery. That's an old one that I
still
can
do that.
Yeah, I
Kinda
do
anger no
too.
spirits.
Yeah, dude, I'm not fucking around. I'm not trying to get whatever.
I don't want them to keep a rap sheet.
Dude, yeah.
They be keeping count. They got nothing else to do.
Yeah, for real.
They're like,
Vengeful.
there goes Brandy. Put a check mark. Put a check mark. So funny.
I think that Sierra's actually got the next one.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard the soul weighs 21 grams. Back in like 1901, this guy, and I can't remember his name because I don't have it pulled up. Anyway, he was a doctor and he like was weighing people as they were dying actively. And then he claimed that he repeated the experiment with a whole bunch of like dogs. And unfortunately he killed the dogs. So dude kind of sucked. But he claimed that his like little study size, it was only like literally 3 people, that they lost, what was it, 21 ounces or 21 grams
Yeah, 21
as
grams.
they died. And so therefore it was like their soul leaving their body, and therefore souls were 21 grams of weight, which is not even McFucking close.
Right.
Apparently a lot of things happen when you die, right? Losing exactly that amount does not have to be one of them. So.
Right. And yeah, I had heard about this one from a religious fanatic at some point along the way. Like, yeah, see, this is proof of heaven and hell and an afterlife because they lose exactly 21 grams. That's how much the soul weighs.
It's like, dog, they probably passed gas. They probably were holding on just for your safety and then released it, you know?
Bro, the amount of farts that dead people have. It's so many farts.
I'd be
Yeah.
fine. I got it.
Now the farts is that's almost unavoidable, especially if you have to turn them.
Exactly. Oh my god. Like I did not realize how much like gas was stored inside of the gut of a dead person. Like, I mean, I done my fair share of embalmings over the years, but until we had to flip them on their stomachs, it is just, and it all comes out. Like, it's so bad.
yeah.
I imagine there's probably enough there just to make up for that 21 grams, but
That's like the episode of like Futurama where Bender becomes a human and then he becomes like the embodiment of like overindulging and he gets
Yeah.
super duper fat and shit.
yeah.
And then he dies. And they didn't even know he died because they thought he was saying woo, but it was just gases
just
leaving his body.
Woo.
So funny.
But yeah, there's also like through heat loss because some people get like febrile, get a fever before they die. So there's a lot of heat, and so a lot of moisture dissipation, pissing, like all sorts of stuff. And like the study just was not done well. They had a very small smattering of how many people they actually like measured this for, and I don't know. It's the same thing as like the guy who said that vaccines give you autism and stuff. Like, it was bad research. The correlations did not equal the causation. It was just a bunch of crap.
Yeah, they tried to repeat it in 2001 and it did not. It did not repeat. They were like, what? Because some people were losing like some weight, some people weren't losing weight, some people were gaining weight. That was the whole thing too. Because your like body swells and shit.
Right,
So-
exactly. Held on to the medicines and stuff that were being pumped into them. So
Yeah.
so that one's a crock of shit. So I think another one that comes up a lot for me is that myth. Bodies need to be embalmed for our safety. So this one is like anti-funeral industry. So I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to hear that. But no, bodies do not need to be embalmed for safety asterisk.
Why do we do it?
Okay, wait. I have a challenging statement.
Ooh, okay, let's go. Let's hear it.
What if zombie apocalypse?
What if zombie
Well, then we
apocalypse?
just kept their skin
Will
look
the
real damn
embalmed
good. Holy shit.
will the embalmed bodies become I don't know, what's the word? Be able
Waxy?
to No, like to move and
They'd be
do all the
reanimated.
things.
Oh, do shit a lot better
reanimated.
because they're not.
I would say they wouldn't be able to
No.
because the nature of embalming,
They're so full of formaldehyde.
it literally denatures the
Yeah.
proteins, so they would not be able to like move because they're frozen in the position that the person's embalmed in, essentially. So I think that it would actually help, like with the zombie apocalypse, if we embalmed the dead.
So maybe this
So-
one has a little bit of legs
okay.
under it.
I like where you're going. I like let her cook.
See, when I first like read that one, I was thinking of like disease prevention.
Yes,
And then
that
I
is
was
what it's supposed to be.
thinking-
That is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Then I was like the plague, and I was like, we should probably burn them. And then I was like, does embalming do the same shit as like burning? Like,
Well, burning can technically aerosolize certain chemicals
no!
and stuff.
Ooh.
I'm stuck in the Renaissance age.
Yeah. So realistically, like that was the whole thing. Is that the reason that became a myth is like, oh well, you can get like super sick from dead bodies. It's like the whole thing. And when there's I think it was it Haiti where they had the earthquakes.
That's a, I don't know.
There was like a
Haiti
bunch of
did
dead
have-
bodies in the street, and they were like, "Oh, you have to like cover up your face." There's like a miasma of sickness, and it's like, no, that's not how that works. You can get sick from a dead body, but it's not as easy. Like, so if somebody has like a
like,
super
eat it?
communicable, yes, if you eat it, yes, you will get sick.
Yes.
But yeah, if you have a super communicable disease, like obviously that's going to be easily transferred, or like MRSA, like open weeping wounds, like stuff like that. Like that's easy to contract.
Leprosy.
Yeah, leprosy. Exactly.
I don't know. I'm thinking
Big
of
time.
No, it's true.
What about Rona?
You can get corona from a dead body. Yes. So the idea is like if it's a respiratory thing, if you are moving a dead person, it does like cause their lungs to expel the air, and it will then like put that.
Oh my
into
god! I
Yes.
didn't even think about that.
So yeah, if you're like a funeral director and like
But
you're
it's
constantly
so
doing transfers,
rare. Just
Yeah, it's
remember
very
that though. Remember,
there's a small amount, and like if your grandma, like you're
So
there
rare.
and by her bedside while she's dying, like you're not gonna get sick for like holding her hand. So like you're fine unless she's
No.
got like super
Well,
tuberculosis.
she like fucking coughs on you. I don't know. I just remember
Yeah.
everybody dying of Rona, and then there being piles of bodies and shit. Is what our previous co-host told us, and then like a whole bunch of other shenanigans, and like you couldn't go near them because they were like infected and.
Well, there was a good chunk of time that we didn't really understand the transmission
that
from
would've been
the
the
dead,
exact time.
so we
That makes more
didn't.
sense.
Yeah, so there was. I mean, you can yet again. We still had to use universal precautions with that because, like, yeah, you can. There's always a chance, but if you're using proper protective equipment, like
You'll be fine.
You'll be
Okay.
fine. So it's not as bad as we thought. But this is like in general, like, yeah, if the disease was super deadly and easy to transmit while someone's alive, you should be cautious. But otherwise, like, you don't have to embalm a body for the safety because, like, we'll even do.
wear your PPE.
Wear your PPEs. And like, if you say you want to do a direct cremation for grandma, PPE is personal protective equipment. So like,
Okay, cool.
masks,
Slay.
gloves, etc. But yeah, so if like you're having a direct cremation for Gram, but like you still want a chance to see her, you don't, depending on your funeral home, you don't need to have her embalmed. Like if you're seeing her within like 24 to 48 hours, like it's usually within the legal like limits for a lot of states before somebody would have to be either cremated or buried without embalming. So like you can still see somebody. Like that is very possible. We did that all the time. We called them like identification viewings, or like there's some funeral homes have special names for them, but that's really what it is. And you don't have to have someone embalmed for that. So you're not
And
going to get sick from that.
The state gets involved on like how long you can keep dead bodies around.
Right.
That's kind of if
That is a safety thing. 'Cause
That-
there's a like
yeah.
people do rot. Like after 72 hours, like that's when things
so
can go
is that
downhill.
when you can like get sick and shit from them?
Well, so technically, I mean, it's another one of those. It depends.
It's weird.
but-
It feels weird that the states are like, "Yo, man."
Well, it's more for public safety that would, because that's the
that
thing
kinda
is,
makes sense,
when
okay.
someone starts to decompose, that's when you can get sick from a body, right?
Okay.
So like this is like when you're talking the 24 hours post somebody dying, like there's not,
Yeah.
they're not really in the throes of decomposition to the point that it's dangerous, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, just for public health and safety, that's when they start to be like,
So you
okay,
can just keep
72
them
hours,
around.
you better have like
A decision made.
yeah, decision made and it's put into motion. Either
Yeah.
they're embalmed by that point or they're slated to be cremated or buried. Like that's
So what
kind of the thing.
happens? So you start like decomposing, and then what?
Well, then you liquefy
Then why
it
are
and things
you
get
like?
gross.
Why are you a disease now?
So, like, you're literally, like, melting, and all of the bacteria that are in your body are able to propagate, like, tenfold or something. Like,
So
that's
like
the
if you
exact
put them in a
scheme.
box, that's like not cool.
Well, no, it keeps them away from people. And because they can still, like, leak through boxes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm
But-
trying to think of like why, like what happened that the state was like, yo, we're getting regulations on this shit. You're not keeping these motherfuckers around for this long. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like, when we had that episode about those funeral homes in Detroit that
Yeah.
were, like, storing bodies for way too long. I mean, they're literally,
Oh,
like,
I guess it would have to
rotting.
be with like the actual like the funeral industry. It's not like, you know,
Yeah, it's
you've
not
got
for the
your dead
families.
dad in the back of your pickup truck.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
no, it's
Okay.
not. It's not for the families.
That's what I was thinking.
They obviously families have to adhere to the laws, but that's more of a law that funeral homes have to like keep in check, essentially, to make sure that families are making a decision, like for the body to be in place. And because I know that this is different, like some people like, oh, we don't have money, so the body stays at the hospital morgue for like more than a week or something. Like, but they're in refrigeration. That's the other thing is that there's a refrigeration. Either it's there's a lot of little minutia on like how you can skirt around the law. Like, oh, we have plans to go to a funeral home, or oh, we do have like active refrigeration, so you can kind of scoot in that.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm sure it has to do a lot with like Jane Doe's and stuff like that too. Like you have 72 hours to like do something with this like body.
well, yeah, and
too,
then
you
also
know what I mean?
the state can take over at a certain point of like, well, like no one's come and stepped forward to take care of this body, so we need to have somebody like
do something.
a
decision needs
it's
to be made.
back to that episode on indigent like cases and stuff. Like that's when like the state can step in and shit. So
Gotcha.
yeah, 72 hours is for like the you better be cremated, buried, or embalmed or refrigerated thing.
Yeah,
so,
I'm one of those crazy people that like dead people have like death cooties, and if you touch like somebody with like who's dead, you get death cooties, and you better start scrubbing. and anything they've touched has death cooties, throw it out, start over.
I mean, it is.
I know
is
that's
a good
crazy,
way.
but
it's not necessarily crazy. It is a good like rule of thumb to adhere to, because especially like you don't know. Because my big thing for like dead bodies at a funeral home, so like from the time that grandma was picked up from the nursing home and taken to the funeral home and dressed and put in front of you to say goodbye to, with or without embalming, you don't know what has touched her or what she has touched since then, because she's going on the same embalming table that like thousands of other bodies have. And like even though that someone's getting washed and like disinfected, it's still you still don't know. So it's basically use universal precautions, because you never know if like the funeral director maybe touched somebody else that they were actively embalming that was an autopsy and they're covered in blood and poop and shit, and then they go touch her. Like you have no idea. Like we use the same cosmetic brushes at the funeral home for every body, and like they're washed. They are not washed between bodies. So like you never know what touched what.
at first I was like, that's gross, and I was like, they're all dead. And then I was like, oh yeah, never mind.
I think that's the general consensus
Yeah, I
at a
was like,
funeral
oh
home.
no.
Yeah. So it's not like you're gonna get sick from just being around a dead body, but like obviously if you like touch someone's poo hand and then touch your eye, like you're gonna get something. So
Damn, that just blew my mind. I should have read the notes more.
that's why I don't like people like when they go up and kiss their like dead grandma in the casket, and I'm just like, you don't know, you don't fucking know, man.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Even just donors that come straight from like a hospital, even if they were just like in the OR for a hot minute, like hospitals are so nasty. That is a breeding ground for MRSA.
It's
Correct.
literally putting all the sick people in one place.
Well, right, because people will go into the hospitals all the time and get secondary infections and die from something they didn't even go to the hospital with. That happens all
That happened to my
the time.
uncle.
Yeah.
I mean my great uncle.
Holy shit.
It was my opa's brother.
What
he like
happened?
went in for like heart surgery or whatever, had a successful heart surgery, got an infection from like his stitches, his sutures. The infection got into his heart and killed him within like 3 days.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh.
That is not
yeah, it was
good.
really yes, it was. But also his like partner, wife, lady thing at the time, like sued the hospital. She got a lot of money, so they're fine. She's fine.
They're set.
Silver lining.
Yeah,
Oh.
silver lining. Yeah, except for his kids are fucking douchebags, and I'll say that to their faces. So.
Yo.
I'll die on that hill.
I'll say it for you.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah, money turns people into dickheads sometimes.
It
Oh,
really
yeah.
does, especially during grief.
But TLDR, dead bodies cannot get you sick inherently. There are obviously extenuating circumstances here with the illnesses that we mentioned and things like that, but just being around a dead body, whether decomposing or not,
is not inherently dangerous to anybody unless you were like putting it into your mouth or by your mucous membranes like your eyes and things like that. So please don't be scared to squeeze grandma's hand as she's passing away, because she deserves to have you there and you deserve to be with her. And please, please, please don't be scared by fear-mongering. Oh, this has been super eye-opening from what we've covered just this far, and I know we have quite a few left to go, so I think let's cap it here and return back next month for a few more myths about death.
Get ready to bust a myth.
I'm busting
myths, baby!
But that's going to be it this week on Mort Mike. Connect with us on our socials at Facebook and YouTube at Mort Mike Podcast. And if you have any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear about or burning questions you might have about death, shoot us an email at mortmikepodcast@gmail.com.
A huge thanks to Joey, our dedicated studio gopher, Marson Music for our theme Deputies of Death, and Macklin Legan for our custom icons and banners.
Be sure to tune in the first Thursday of every month for more casual discussions on death. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Mort Mike.
Bye.